Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. I was hoping to be joined by Drew tonight, but we appear to have had a little bit of a misunderstanding communications because I wasn't feeling up to it, frankly. And he said, "All right, we won't bother doing it." But then, as I went for a walk around the block, and I said, "Well, actually, I'm feeling much better now, so let's do it." But never heard back from him, so never mind. So we'll try and keep this mercifully short tonight. But there are a couple of things to talk about, and as ever, I think this is just a lob a question at me, and and I'll see. I'll do my level best to answer your modelling correspondence. I think is the best way of putting it. But I think we'll kick off tonight with. This came up on the timeline this week, and this is Dora Wings, and it is. Let me try and find the right. There we go. It's Dora Wings, and it is there. Oh, for goodness' sake, can't find it. See, this is me doing it solo, and I can't find the. Can't find the thing here. Anyway, it's Dora Wings. Try again. Dora Wings, and it's a Cadron CR714C1/early. And let's try it now, shall we? Dun, 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 dun. There we go. That's more like it. There we go. And yeah, this is relatively new. Actually, I think it is a brand new kit actually, and this is one of those fabulously weird looking French fighters from the early part of the Second World War, and as you can see, they do give you a rather nice decal sheet and a small photo etched fret and a sheet of canopy masks, which are quite welcome given how extensive the glazing is on this aircraft. Very nice box art, always is with Dora Wings, and then we have some interesting color schemes. We've got this overall kind of green and silver grey one, based in Bordeaux. We've got this rather nice kind of free Polish squadron one, which is in a rather bizarre camouflage, but good luck painting that. And there's another free Polish Air Force one as well, and another one. It's three. Good Lord. Yeah, so that I'm going to keep an eye out for that, and as and when it pops up on the radar in one of the local model shops, I'm going to bag one, because I remember building the Hella kit back in the previous millennium, and it was all right. It was an old Hella kit, but I do like the Cadron. It is really quite a ferocious looking aeroplane, given its rather ungainly appearance. And I'm just going to look something up here whilst we're live. So like I say, soloing tonight. I didn't get that. Oh, shush, Siri, shush. Siri, give me a thing. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let's have a look. Bumpy dumpy 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 dum. Oh lordy, Scalemates Codron. There we go. Dora Wings. What'd you do on Sunday night? I had no idea. He's just sitting there, kind of like banging away at his keyboard again. Yeah, this does appear to be a new kit. So anyway, there we go. That's I got some messages coming in here. Yeah, it's seemingly a brand new kit. So that should be good. Anyway, what to talk about tonight? I really am not going to be on long tonight because I have been absolutely struggling all week with long COVID, and yeah, not fun. So I probably don't have the stamina to do a full show tonight. The irony is, it's difficult. It's different when I'm doing the ghost stories, which will follow. But that's a completely different kind of relaxed atmosphere. Yeah. Anyway, so if you want to lob some questions at me or suggestions for questions, fire away. Steve Moores says, I discovered today that making an RAF Tucano T1 from a Hobby Boss Super Tucano isn't a straight build and change the decals. No, unfortunately it's not. I wish it was. That would be good. But no, it's completely different aeroplane. Yeah, it's just a, how can you describe it? It's you probably be better off starting off with a Pilatus PC7 or something to make a Tucano, because it's such a it's a vastly different aeroplane, so I wouldn't worry about that. And let's just see who else. So who have we got here tonight? We've got Blum. We've got Alan Richardson, Mark Ryan, Jim Altergott, Arthur Cohen, Captain Magenta, Steve Moores, Lee Suter, John Patrick Huston, Kev Tinker, Phil Prisk, Adam Cooper, Ian Goldstraw, Dougal McWoogle, Wayne Beatty, Nick Brown, Sean Smith, Tony Surridge, Jim Carswell, Brian Wilton, Jerry Doyle, Stephen Pryor, Christian Gerard. Steve Moore says, any UFOs today? No, disappointingly, it turns out they reckon that these were spy aircraft, not UFOs. That was very, very disappointing. That Pete Cosgrave scale models. Good plug, that Pete. Well done. Robert Johnson, he says, hi JM from Ontario, glad you're feeling good. I'm feeling all right, but I'm definitely off color, let's put it that way. And same with Mike Williams, says, evening, hope you're feeling better, John. Well, I went for a power walk around the block, which was exactly a mile, and it took me 21 minutes, including walking up a great big steep hill again. So I managed that, and I was fine, although I was a bit kind of like, I wasn't out of steam or out of breath. But we've got to get to the bottom of this, because this is really annoying. Anyway, Greg Woodbridge, hello. Stan Codling, Robert Johnson says, love your lumberjack hoodie. Well, actually, it's a black hoodie underneath here. This is a separate thing. And then this is my lumberjack shirt, my padded lumberjack shirt, which is actually very nice in this weather, got to say. Ian Hartup says, all new tooling, my friend. Oh, okay, right, fine. That's the Codron. That's all new tooling. Neil Sheed says, hello to all, and thank you, Mike and Keith, for getting back into modelling. David Mummery says, good evening. Yes, Jim Altergott has reminded me. He says, have you seen Mig Jimenez models of the MiG-17? Yeah, we saw that. We put that actually on the, let me go to the timeline. Because let's have a look. nothing like doing this on the fly. Um, Here we go. Let's find it. Let's find it. That's not me. That's my personal account. You don't want to see that. It's just me ranting. Here we go. Let's have a look. Dum ba dum bum ba dum bum ba dum bum ba dum ba dum. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Dum ba dum. Dum ba dum. Dum de dum. Honestly, my brain has really slowed up lately. It's quite alarming in some respects, but we'll get to the bottom of it in one way or another. Um, oh my goodness me! This is a lot of new stuff this week that we've been putting updates. Here we go. Blimey, God, blimey, governor. We put a lot of updates up, and that's taken me that long to actually find it. Right, here we go. Da, 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 da. Da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Here we go. That's all I'm going to say tonight. Is here we go. Blah blah blah. Right. Share screen. Scale mates. That's not it. That's not it. There it is. Yeah, we are going to terminate this quicker tonight. Honestly. Right. Ammo of MiG. And they have announced four new kits of the MiG-17 in 48 scale. No information other than what we're seeing here, but they are doing a MiG-17F/Lim 5. They're doing a Polish MiG-17 Lim 5. They're doing a MiG-17F Sheang J5, and they're doing a MiG-17F Egypt Cirrus. So they're all kind of like within the same basic kind of sub mark, really. What kits do we have out there at the moment in 48 scale? Slim pickings, as it happens. There was the Hobby Craft kit from 19, there we go. 1989 and 90. I think that was done in cooperation with War Eagle in America. Not a particularly stellar kit, it has to be said. And then we had the OEZ kit from the early 1990s, which is actually not bad. It's not great, but it's a good effort. And that was reboxed by Airfix around about 1991, I think. So yeah, I think the OEZ kit is probably the best one we've got. I'm trying to think. Jog my memory, folks. Did Hobby Boss do a MiG-17 in 48 scale, or is that it? Are those the only kits that have been produced? Anyway, 4 kits coming from Ammo of MiG, and they are doing them as new tooling. So we will have to wait and see what they are like. But never say no to a new MiG-17. So yeah, that is more than welcome news. So I'm just saying, let's have a look. Let's have a look. David Mummery, MiG-17 is such a great aircraft for modelers because of the ridiculous number of incredible schemes. Yeah, absolutely. Hobbycraft and Smur in 148th, I think. Whose was the Airfix reboxed? That was the OEZ kit. So OEZ, which was reboxed by Schmer, completely different to the Hobbycraft kits. Richard Van Sant says yes, Hobby Boss did several. So I just need to look. This is where I'm so out of the loop these days, folks. Hobby Boss Hobby Boss MiG 17. Oh my goodness me! Yes, Hobby Boss did do some 48 scale MiG 17s, and they are blimey. They're from 2008. So yeah. In fact, I'm just looking at some images of the sprues here for a 48 scale kit. Goodness me, it almost looks like it's a 72nd scale kit. 72nd scale kit blown up, really. I don't know what it's like. It may be very good for all I know. But it does look a bit basic. Nothing wrong with basic, but it does look, yeah. I think Ammo of MiG could do a better job of that. In fact, we're just going to do a right. Here we go. Bear with. Let's have a look at the instruction sheet, shall we? So let's just go to. Let's get rid of that. Stop screen, and we will go to present, share screen. Getting better at this. Here we go. This is the Hobby Boss, one of the Hobby Boss MiG 17s, and we will have a look to see what that is like. And yeah, it is quite basic, workmanlike. Choose your verbs. It does include an engine, which is rather interesting. It does this. I would say this is certainly appears to be a step up from the Hobbycraft and the OEZ kit. So yeah, it looks okay. But the thing about MiG 17s is you've got to get your variants and your sub variants right. Otherwise, you'll have Eastern European or former Eastern European modelers can be a bit harsh. I think it's a good way of putting it. Quite rightly, I think so. So here we go. Yeah, here are the decal schemes. I do like those East German ones, though. I think they're lovely. They're lovely, lovely, lovely. Anyway, so yeah, so that will be coming out onto a market which is not overly blessed with MiG 17s. Right. Let's just having a look. Yeah. Oh, I got a silly little fly in here. Mike Williams says, OEZ, Schmer, Airfix, Heller, Mr. Craft, KP, go away, were all the same kit. Yeah, Hobbycraft weren't, though. Hobbycraft were completely different kits. And now we've got Hobby Boss as well. And now we're going to have Ammo of MiG. So we've got MiGs. So, yeah. So John Connolly says, Soviet subjects are popular. And Steve Moore says, not for me at present. Yes, exactly. And yeah, Steve Moore's. Yeah, good, fair comment, Steve. He says, I currently can't bring myself to finish the Minicraft Su-33 because of what is happening in Ukraine. It's back in its box. Yeah, fair enough. I think we all understand that, really. Jim Aldecott says, calling the cat to deal with the insect problem. I don't know where he is. He's outside somewhere. And say hello to Theron Hampton from Denver, Colorado. Good evening, Theron. Right, we were going to talk. What were we going to talk about? Come on, folks, jog my memory. There was another subject that you lobbed at me. God blimey, no, I can't think what it was. This is going to be one of those shows that is going to be live in the moment, and then the moment it's finished, it's going to be gone completely. Oh well. We were talking about something. I forgot what it was. Brain gone. No, it wasn't leopards. It was another. It was a similar thing. It was right. Hang about. No, not Happy Valley. Goodness me, I cannot remember what it was. Yeah, that was it. Right, thank you, Brian Wilton. He says, did I see Uncle Night Shift is slowing down? Yes, for the time being. Martin Kovac has announced that he will be back, and he will be back in another form, but I think he's discovered the pace of doing these live, not live, God, wish they were, the pace of doing these pre-recorded videos weekly it's wiped him out completely. And I don't blame him. It is the amount of hours he puts into editing the videos, and that's on top of the fact that he's got to sit at the workbench and actually do some modeling. Poor lad is absolutely wiped out. I mean, goodness me. I think he is, I don't think he's even 30 yet. No, hate him. He's going to make one video per subject, I believe. Yeah, so he's gonna have a rethink. But I think Paul Martin has just burned himself out with his schedule, and it's and he puts a lot of work into his videos. So I don't blame him. I actually think, Martin, if that's what you need to do, and you're going to come back and do do new stuff, then brilliant. But I don't hold it against him, because trust me, I've been delving into doing videos, and oh my goodness me, they are incredibly time consuming to do them to the level that Martin does. And I haven't cracked what the formula is yet to actually do a video, to do a decent video. So once I have, I'm going to bore you all with it. But until I have done that, I'm not going to. But it's just, yeah. So Martin, I will send him a message anyway. He's a Godzilla fan. So, but Martin, honestly, since you came onto the scene, and this happens very rarely, but when Martin came along, he made me reevaluate and rethink so many of my processes. And that only happens a couple of times in my modeling career. Verlinden was one. I'm trying to think who else there was. Kind of like Shep Payne, things like that. People who come along, and then you suddenly see what they're doing. You're thinking, "Oh my goodness me, I'm doing it all wrong, and I need to have a rethink." Mig Jimenez was another one with his painting and weathering in acrylics, which is a great video. If you've never seen that, it's really good. So Martin turned up doing Night Shift, and it was just like, wow, mind blown. He just a staggering talent, a once in a generation talent, and he is and Mike Williams says, now Night Shifts has the following. You can afford to do that, I guess. Longer and more in-depth quality builds that'll be worth the wait. Yeah, absolutely. I fully support him in whatever he's going to do. Even if he just decided to kind of like walk away from it and just do the occasional free video, fine, Martin. You got to look after yourself. But I'm sure he'll be back, and I look forward to seeing what he is doing next. Right, Jim Altergott. I'm on safer ground now. Jim Altergott says, speaking of Godzilla, I recently saw the original 1954 Japanese version of the first film. Startlingly different to the Americanized version that starred Raymond Burr. And Raymond Burr came back in 1984, 30 years later, to do to reprise his role as reporter Steve Martin. How ironic. So it was, and the thing is, the Americanized version in 1985 rather, 1984 rather, was even more egregious than the 1954 Americanized version. So anyway, we won't talk about that. That's me off on my pet subject. And Captain Magenta, bum, 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 bum. He says, to paraphrase those wise sages, Spandau Ballet, Martin, don't need this pressure on. No, absolutely. Yeah, and Jim Alcott says, much better than the Raymond Burr Americanized version. It's not bad, actually. The Americanized version of Godzilla, which was actually released as Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and that's where we get the westernized name from. It's actually not bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But it's not. I think once you've seen the original version and what a somber and tragic film that is, it's worth seeking out anyway. But either version is worth seeking out. And David Mummery says some of us have now had our arms twisted into watching UFO. Well, especially with all the news now, with the old things coming into the airspace, and aircraft being dispatched to shoot them down. Oh, blimey, it's like an episode of UFO. It really is. Strange times, folks. It's just sorry, we're just leaping back to Godzilla again. He says they completely sidestep the issue of atomic weapons. The Americanized version does. Obviously the Japanese version doesn't. The Americanized 1984 version kind of riffs on the nuclear. That's how Travis Swords says it in the film. But the nuclear thing in the 1984 version, the 1984 kind of remake/reboot. But when the Americanized version comes along, they remove all kind of reference to American atomic weapons, and suddenly it's the Russians. It's the Russians. So, and then obviously I'm almost embarrassed to say it. Obviously, the 1998 pregnant iguana film, we won't even talk about that. It's nonsense. And then obviously you go full circle, 2014, Gareth Edwards one. He just dives straight in. Absolutely brilliant. The opening montage is nothing but references to nuclear tests. So brilliant. Anyway, what are we talking about anyway? Yeah, and John Connolly says, yes, we owe a lot to Plasno and Night Shift. Yeah, absolutely brilliant modelers. I don't mention Plasmo that often, but yeah, he's another one who is just a phenomenal talent. He really is. Anyway, right. Let's have a fresh topic. So lob something at me. I think I can go on for about another 15 minutes. What am I working on at the moment? Well, I'm still doing artwork at the moment, painfully. But finish it February. Yeah, finish it February. I am hoping to get my ambulance finished in February, but it's not working out that way because just my energy levels are terrible at the moment. I don't want to bang on about my health either. I'm down to have a blood test on Friday. Oh joy. But they said, don't worry, it'll be fine. They always say that, and it's always horrible. But I've been out for a couple of walks this week, and I've managed to go a bit farther than I usually do without conking out. But yeah, it is concerning, given that I go out walking for hours and hours and hours, and I go out walking for miles and miles and miles. And at the moment, I can probably do about 2, but my legs, they're then just like, no, that's it. They're not going to do any more. So, Steve Moore says, come on then, JM, fess up. How many work in progress kits do you have on the go? Do you know what, Steve? Not that many, amazingly. I think some I just ended up binning because I just thought, yeah, these aren't going to work out the way they do. I think the Austin ambulance, The what's its name? I forgot what it is again. The Tamiya Comet. I've got a Tamiya Panzer IV from 2 years ago that I do need to kind of like get that finished as well. That's about it, really. There's probably a couple of others. Little, yeah, 24 scale Spit, yeah, that as well. Don't remind me. Yeah, I got that as well, but that's not going to be finished in February. That's going to be finished throughout the year. Yeah, finish it February. That's the and John Patrick Huston says, "Oh yes, yeah." He's reminded me about that. He's reminded me about the ICM, the little delivery truck thing as well, which will be coming up for a year now. I know, shocking, isn't it? Yeah, Mini Art. That's it. The Mini Art 3-wheeler. Yeah, I know. Got to get that finished as well. Yeah, I just need to get my eye back into the workshop and get back in there and also give it a good spring clean. I was hoping to reorganize it somewhat this year. That's all dependent on budget. And that's all dependent on budget and a building society that keeps messing me around. But no, that's the plan. We're gonna try and do that. Try and get that done and out of the way and whatever. It's been a disrupted year, and obviously getting COVID at the end of last year disrupted it even more. So we will. Also, I'm just going to say, last year, I feel that I'm going to word this very carefully, but because I'm so used to kind of having that kind of summer period and listening to the BBC proms, and then the last night the proms, and I'm all into I'm really kind of geared up for it and everything, blah blah blah. And obviously last year, because of the sad passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, they cancelled the BBC proms, and it just feels like, yeah, it's like the year didn't end quite the way I imagined it was going to end. So obviously, it's small fry, but we'll get our oh yeah, and oh God, see that we've got. This is why I shouldn't share projects with you lot. Because he says, on that front, I finished the Dragon Armored Jeep, one of the most unpleasant building experiences I have ever had. Yeah, I've got that to finish off as well. And Jerry Doyle reminds me, Ford Escort 2. Yeah, Ford Escort 2. Yeah. Got that to do as well. Yeah, that's actually not too. That actually. I mean, this is the thing of the between the Dragon Armored Jeep and the old Eschi / now Italeri 24 scale Ford Escort. Gotta say, that Ford Escort is the better kit, and it's older. Yeah, it's just Dragon for you, isn't it? It's and Steve Moore says, well, that escalated quickly. Oh yeah, David Mummery says the Mini. Right, I do have a plan for that Mini, and it's going to be built as a scrapyard model. So watch this space. Right, Steve Moore says, can you help out an American seeking knowledge? What is or are the BBC proms? Well, it's a series of concerts of largely classical music, but not always classical music, as I'll explain in a second. But it's just a series of live concerts which are put on by the BBC, and it's like a 2-month festival of music. And that's it. That's all there is to it. If you go on BBC iPlayer and look up on the radio section and look up BBC proms, it's brilliant. I mean, blimey, I've found so much good classical music in the last 30, 40 years, plus some old favourites and things, and it always ends in the second week of September when they have the last night of the proms, and they have a first half of the show is it's like a new program, and then the second half of the show it's all the old favorites, and it's all stuff like kind of like Gilbert and Sullivan and Land of Hope and Glory and God Save the Queen. It's all nonsense, and you see all these people sitting there waving their Union flags and letting their hair down. I think the difference is that whereas I think these days there is a tendency that there is a tendency to see the people waving Union flags as being a bit kind of like a bit Brexity. That's probably the way of putting it. This is much different. This is much more harmless and almost comical, he says. But it's good fun. It's good fun. James Ray says, no BBC sounds outside the UK. Well, you can if you try, but yeah, Steve Moore says pomp and circumstance. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. But yeah, that's that anyway. Right, lob another question at me because I'm going to try and do a bit more, and then that's it. And I'll do my ghost stories tonight. That's easy. All I do is sit here and read a book and drink beer. But honestly, my energy levels are just at the moment. Sean Smith says, I start kits, never finish them, and then bin them. Looks like the Meng Chieftain will be binned. That's a shame, Sean. Can you not finish it for February or finish it February? I think it's worth persevering with at least one and get that done. Yeah, I think you should stick with it, if you pardon the pun. Jim Altegott says, I had a framed photo fall onto a shelf, destroying 3 models that were resting there. Sorry, John Patrick Huston. Sorry about that. So I had a framed photo fall onto my shelf and destroying 3 models that were resting there. I lost mojo for a few weeks, but I cleaned up the mess and now ready to carry on. I actually think sometimes that's not a bad thing. You just kind of like go, right, fine, start again. And Jim says, this is why I was getting confused. And Jim says, credit to Dragon, the molding and details are crisp as usual, and they capture the look very well of the classic Bantam / Willys Jeep. Yeah, just their instructions are terrible. It's just like such a chore trying to build one of their kits. Robert Johnson says, have you tried UV glue to glue dissimilar parts? It's toxic to skin, so be careful. I do have a little Revell UV glue pen as well, but yeah, do be careful with that stuff, folks. And what have we got here? Andy King says, my Kitty Hawk Jaguar A looks destined for landfill as it is just awful. Sorry to hear that, Andy. Damien says, JM, do you think Tamiya would update their older figure sets? Well, they have done in the past. They have taken some of their figures and they've kind of given us new iterations of them. I mean, a good example of that is the Kettenkrad, where you get this new Kettenkrad that they've done, and you get 3 figures in it, which are very reminiscent of the figures in the original kit. Excuse me. And yeah, they have done that in the past, and they have they've done new figures that have been very reminiscent of figures they've done in the past. So I'm with you. I wish they would do more, but yeah, Steve Moores says, oh God, I'm with you there, but did persist in the end. Instructions are dreadful. Yeah, they are. Dragon just, I think the thing that annoyed me. The thing that annoyed me about the Dragon armored Jeep is that the finishing diagrams seem to represent 3 distinct versions of that Jeep without, they're all different, but there's only one version of the Jeep that you can do. But these were showing different versions of the armored shielding and everything. And it's just like, so you just kind of like, have I done something wrong? And then you look at it and you go, no, I haven't. It's just Dragon. They're not paying attention. And yeah, I wish they did. I wish they did tighten up on their instructions. That's my that is my wish. Anyway, yeah, Jim says, I think Tamiya is replacing the older sets with newer and better molded figure sets. Yeah, they are. They are not massive, kind of like a program of it, but they are doing it. Andy King says, yep, that's why I'm building more 72nd scale kits. Steve Moore says, I'm considering giving away some of the built kits. Yeah. Either put them on eBay and advertise them, or find a grateful small child who would like a model tank, built model tank. And Jim says Dragon has a well-deserved reputation for not very good instructions. Their Jeep kit is the worst. Yeah, it's very bad. It's not great. And John Patrick Hudson says, our club has donated 11 models to the local heritage centre with a few more being built for them. Well done, John. Brilliant. And Andy, we're all laying into Dragon now. Okay. The worst Dragon instructions I encountered was from their 35th scale SFH howitzer. I just don't think I've ever built a Dragon kit where the instructions actually stopped making sense at some stage. They really do, yeah, not good. Not good. Same, because they can mold kits, but their instructions really do need tightening up. Ian Hartup says the benefit of building custom cars is you can recycle the older builds. Yeah, that's a good point. James Ray says DML M4s. Yeah, I mean, honestly, people who give Italeri a hard time, no, trust me. At least their stuff has a semblance of logic. Just it's old, but at least it, at least they will go together in a fashion. Although Italeri do make a dropper ricket. I mean, on that Escort, it's referring to bits that aren't even in the kit, but never mind. But that's an old kit. I can cut it a certain amount of slack because it's an old kit. Whereas, unfortunately, with a lot of the Dragon stuff, these are brand new tools, and they're not. You don't expect to come across that level of what's the word I'm looking for? You don't expect to come across that level of slapdashery. Is that a word? I think it is. Slap. It's not good. Not good. Not brilliant. Right. We're coming up to 20 minutes past 8. So if you've got any last questions, we'll see if we can. Steve Moore says incompetence with regard to the Dragon instructions. I don't think it's incompetence, Steve. I think the problem with these things is sometimes there can be. It might be there is nobody actually kind of like taking ownership or control of the projects. So one kind of department gets to do its thing and whatever. I don't know. It just seems sometimes they lose control and cohesion of certain projects. Brian Wilton says he did the Dragon amphibious tank and it was okay. Yeah. Well, I did what did I build last year? I built the Dragon. Oh God, it was the armored vehicle. You know, the modern armored vehicle. I was going to say Husky, but it's not. You know the one I mean. Come on, I've got COVID brain fog here. Um, that one, and that was fine. It went together well. The instructions were okay. Steve Moore says, or trying to create instructions without a kit. Yeah, I don't know what the story is with those. Bushmaster, says Adam Cooper. Yeah, thank you, Adam. It's the Bushmaster. God, this brain. It's really. Um, and James Ray says, ask Powell Krupovich about their incompetence. He could write a book on it. Yeah, I can tell you sometimes things slip through the net, and when somebody then points out, oh, this is wrong, and blah blah blah, and you're all mortified. You're all like, oh, for crying out loud, you know. There's enough people kind of working on something, and you're all trying to be diligent to spot these things. I just think it's not the same with Dragon. I think they have, like I said, I just get the feeling nobody ever really takes ownership of what is what's going on with these projects. We're not saying all Dragon kits are like this, far from it. But every single one that I've built in the last few years has had some kind of instruction sheet folks pas, as the French would say, and it just takes the edge off the modeling experience, because, like I say, the molding by and large is superb. But anyway, right, folks, I think that is it tonight. I'm not going to ramble on like a madman, because I am a madman. But we will hopefully be back on Wednesday. I'll try and do a pop-up live at some stage as well. Beyond that, I just need to get this, whatever this is, this long COVID sorted out, because it is genuinely debilitating. But enough of my woes. Enough of my go on. Yeah, John Patrick Huston is right. Go on. But yeah, right. So we'll be back on Wednesday, hopefully. In the meantime, thank you for watching. We couldn't do this without you. Let's put it that way. And also, yeah, I just reminded myself I've got to update the closing titles because they still say copyright 2022. Anyway, we'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.